Call the meeting to order and welcome everyone in attendance. The committee has under consideration the estimates of the Ministry of Seniors and Housing for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2023. I'd ask that we go around the table and have members introduce themselves for the record. Minister, please introduce the officials who are joining you at the table.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Good evening, everyone, and a member of committees. I'm very pleased to be with you tonight to present the 2022 and 23 estimate for the Ministries of Seniors and Housing. With me this evening are the members of my executive team, and I would like to introduce them. To my right, Lisa Sodanik, my Deputy Minister. David Williams, ADM Housing Division. To my left, Sophia McConnell, Acting Senior Financial Officer, and Neil McDonald, Executive Directors of a Senior Program Delivery Branch, and my whole bunch of executive the members are in the back here with me. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Minister. My name is Jackie Lovely. I'm the MLA for Camrose constituency and chair of this committee. We'll begin starting to my right, please.
Michaela Fry, MLA, Brooks Medicine Hat.
Good evening. Mark Smith, Drayton Valley, Devon.
Roger Reed, Livingston McLeod.
Mickey Amory, Calgary Cross.
Todd Lowen, Central Peace.
Good evening, Lori Sigurdsson, Edmonton Riverview.
Rod Loyola, Edmonton Ellerslie.
Now, the members participating remotely, please go ahead, Mr. Gottfried.
Richard Gottfried, MLA, Calgary Fish Creek.
I'd like to note the following substitution for the record. Member Loyola is substituting for Member Carson. A few housekeeping items to address before we turn to the business at hand. Please note that microphones are operated by Hansard. Committee proceedings are being live streamed on the internet and broadcast on Alberta Assembly TV. The audio and visual stream and transcripts of meetings can be accessed via the Legislative Assembly website. Members participating remotely are encouraged to have your camera on while speaking and your microphone muted when not speaking. Remote participants who wish to be placed on the speakers list are asked to email or send a message in the group chat to the committee clerk, and members in the room are asked to please signal to the chair. Please set your cell phones and other devices to silent for the duration of the meeting. Honourable members, the standing orders set out the process for consideration of main estimates. A total of 3 hours has been scheduled for consideration of the estimates for the Ministry of Seniors and Housing. Standing Order 59.16 establishes the speaking rotation and speaking times. In brief, the Minister or member of Executive Council acting on the Minister's behalf will have 10 minutes to address the committee. At the conclusion of the Minister's comments, a 60-minute speaking block for the official opposition begins, followed by a 20-minute speaking block for independent members, if any, and then a 20-minute speaking block for the government caucus. Individuals may only speak for up to 10 minutes at a time, but time may be combined between the member and minister. After this rotation of speaking time will then follow the same rotation of the official opposition, independent members, and government caucus. The member and the minister may each speak once for a maximum of 5 minutes, or these times may be combined, making it a 10-minute block. If members have any questions regarding speaking times or the rotation, please feel free to send an email or message to the committee clerk about the process. With the concurrence of the committee, I will call a 5-minute break near the midpoint of the meeting. However, the 3-hour clock will continue to run. Does anyone oppose having a break? Okay. Ministry officials may be present and at the direction of the minister may address the committee. Ministry officials seated in the gallery, if called upon, have access to the microphone in the gallery area and are asked to please introduce themselves for the record prior to commenting. Pages are available to deliver notes or other materials between the gallery and the table. Pardon me. Attendees in the gallery may not approach the table. Space permitting, opposition caucus staff may sit at the table to assist their members. However, members have priority to sit at the table at all times. If debate is exhausted prior to 3 hours, the ministry's estimates are deemed to have been considered for the time allotted in the schedule, and the committee will adjourn. Points of order will be dealt with as they arise, and individual speaking times will be paused. However, the speaking block time and the 3-hour meeting clock will continue to run. Any written material provided in the response to the questions raised during the main estimates should be tabled by the minister in the Assembly for the benefit of all members. The vote on estimates and any amendments will occur in Committee of Supply on March 21st, 2022. Amendments must be in writing and approved by Parliamentary Council prior to the meeting at which they are to be moved. The original amendment is to be deposited with the committee clerk with 20 hard copies. An electronic version of the signed original should be provided to the committee clerk for distribution to committee members. Finally, the committee should have the opportunity to hear both the questions and the answers without interruption during estimates debate. Debate flows through the chair at all times, including instances when speaking time is shared between a member and the minister. I would now invite the Minister of Seniors and Housing to begin her opening remarks. Go ahead, Minister, you have 10 minutes.
Thank you so much, Madam Chairs. Good evening again, everyone. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present the 2022 and 2023 estimates for the Ministries of Seniors and Housing. Over the past 2 years, my ministry, which consists of approximately 249 staff members, contribute and support our overall COVID-19 pandemic response. My ministry worked hard to ensure that vulnerable Albertans were able to stay in their house and homes. Seniors with low income continue to receive their financial benefits, and those living in senior lodge across Alberta were kept safe. I'm pleased to report to this committee that my ministry's 2022 and 2023 operating budgets is $701.2 million. A 6% increase over last year's forecast and a 4.2% over last year's original budget. And with Alberta's second balanced budget in over a decade, thank you to responsible fiscal management, and my ministry will continue to support our seniors and those in need of safe and affordable housing. My ministry programs and services support the safety and well-being of seniors. Populations now in exceeds of 700,000 people. We are maintaining seniors' benefit for those most in need, ensuring vulnerable seniors can count on a stable source of income. Alberta's financial support for seniors are a major reasons why we have the lowest seniors poverty rate in Canada. Keeping seniors safe, healthy, and engaged in their community is, of course, central to my ministry and mine personally. Throughout the pandemic, my ministry worked with a seniors group, community partners, and a stakeholder to support our seniors. The month of March offers us the hope that the worst of the pandemic is behind us, but we will not let our guard down. We will continue to support Alberta seniors in a partnership with our government and our community partners. With the budget 2022, Alberta government is providing more than $8.6 billion in service and support to seniors each year. This included financial support, health benefits, and as well as housing and health supports for seniors with low income. About housing. Providing safe, stable, affordable housing for seniors and Albertans with low income is of vital importance to me and my ministry. Since becoming the minister, I have traveled across the province, meeting stakeholders and organizations to discuss the challenges and the success of Alberta's affordable housing system. Over the next 10 years, we will take action to provide more affordable housing, affordable and accessible housing options for Albertans with low income. Last November, I announced a Stronger Foundations, Alberta's affordable housing strategy. It maps out the long-term changes needed to provide safe, stable, affordable housing for an additional 25,000 households, an increase of more than 40% over the next 10 years by focusing on a partnership and innovation. Stronger foundations will enable Alberta's government to serve more Albertans and get more value for taxpayer dollars by shifting the government's role from being a builder and owner of affordable housing units to being a funder and a regulator. Attracting a new investment and a new partner by enabling more innovative funding and delivering models. Focus on strategics, long-term partnership to help us meet Alberta's diverse needs now and in the future, and continue to protect the most vulnerable and ensure they are not left behind. Let's talk about estimate for seniors. I will now take a few moments to discuss the specific of my ministry's estimate. In 2022 to 23, Seniors and Housing will allocate $491 million to provide seniors financial assistance. Our core program, the Alberta Seniors Benefit, provide an average monthly benefit of $144 to more than 174,000 eligible seniors. This year, we again see the stable funding for 2 home equity loan programs, the Seniors Home Adaptations and Repair Programs, and the Senior Property Tax Deferral Program. These excellent programs and support seniors who wish to remain at home and the chosen community. This is so important to the health and equity of life of many older adults. We have also provided a moderate increase to a special needs assistance for seniors program, which is offer financial support to eligible seniors with low income for critical needs to address the client growth due to an increasing of populations. Estimate about housing. As for housing, over the next 3 years, we will begin the implementations of a stronger foundations, affordable housing strategy with an initial investment under our capital plan. We will also follow through with all previous capital development committee commitments and continue to support capital maintenance and existing housing. The first years of implementations of our affordable housing strategy will focus on need assessments in committees and the development of innovative models and new expanding partnerships. To the end, Capital Plan 2022 allocates $281 million over 3 years to provide new and regenerated affordable housing unit and to maintain government-owned and support housing unit across Alberta. About 110,000 Albertans live in 57,000 government subsidies units. This fiscal years, we have a budget of about $112 million in capital spending. You will see, as we begin implementing the strategy, we will shifting toward a more grant investment. This year, budgets break down into $67.5 million in a capital grant and $44.6 million in capital investment. In addition, Capital Plan 2022 allocates $85 million over 3 years in capital maintenance and renewal funding to maintain the government-owned and support housing unit across Alberta. Including in Budget 2022 is about $118 million over 3 years in capital and $25.3 million in operating funds as we begin implementing stronger foundations. An additional $20.7 million from Stronger Foundation capital funding will go to our Indigenous Housing Capital Program. This program will offer the flexibility and autonomy for Indigenous community to build affordable housing. Finally, operating funding of $25.3 million over 3 years will provide rent support for an additional 3,000 households in need of affordable housing. It will also fund the planning and implementations of the asset management strategy. Conclusions. The changes that we have made to the affordable housing system, like the rental subsidy program and our investment in stronger foundations, will ensure Alberta is well-positioned now and into the future. Thank you for the opportunity to present the estimates for the Ministry of Seniors and Housing. I'm looking forward to your questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Minister. For the next 60 minutes, members of the official opposition and the minister may speak. Honorable members, you will be able to see the timer, which is just right here on the big screens, for speaking block in the committee room and on Microsoft Teams. Members, would you like to combine your time with the ministers? Yes. Minister? All right, very good. Please proceed.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I want to acknowledge that we're on Treaty 6 territory, and also want to acknowledge the Métis people of Alberta who share a deep connection with the land. And I also want to thank the ministry staff, because I know from my own experience as the minister some time ago, how hard they work to do what they can to sort of mitigate what us politicians do so that more and more Albertans are served. So I just want to acknowledge that. And I also want to really presence ourselves right here to the importance of affordable housing. It makes such a significant impact on people's lives. And just serendipitously, I got an email from someone I helped some time ago. It was through my constituency, and his name is Giancarlo, and he's a senior, and he lives with disabilities. And he said, he wrote, with MLA Sigurdsson's help, I was able to return to who I really am. I'm a kind-hearted, caring person who likes to help others where I can. I was able to help others because I had the foundation of affordable housing beneath me. I have done many things because of Lori's help. So it was, and I know that many MLAs probably can speak about the times that they've gotten these types of emails. So our work is really important. It's just not numbers. I know estimates, budget, we're just sort of looking at numbers, but these are real people that are impacted. So I just really want to bring that to the committee's attention. So I'd like to start off on page 162 of the fiscal plan. And there it talks about over 3 years, the capital plan will allocate $118 million to housing. In the first year, $20 million will be invested, and this money, we understand, will come from the sale of government assets. And, Minister, through the chair, this is wholly inadequate to address the housing crisis that we have here in Alberta. Compared to the average regarding availability of affordable housing, Alberta ranks lower. On a per capita basis, Alberta has fewer subsidized housing units than the rest of Canada. According to the most recent census, subsidized housing represents just 2.9% of Alberta's housing units, while the Canadian average is 4.3%. And certainly I've spoken with lots of stakeholders, and they say the plan needs $3 billion. So it's like kind of a shock to see how little, and this isn't even government investment, it's from the sale of assets. It is just wholly ridiculous, really, Minister, that there's such a small amount being invested, $20,000 only in this fiscal year coming up. So when will the minister invest the needed capital that I'm sure she's hearing from stakeholders that so much more is needed?
So this is shared time. I'm guessing, member, that's the end of your questions, and you'd like to turn...
I asked her a question, yeah.
Okay, but the questions need to be directed through the chair.
Each time I ask a question, Madam Chair, I'm supposed
Would
to
you
say
please?
Madam Chair.
Please, yes. Just so we have, if we could, just so we can maintain politeness in the room.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Minister, are you clear what the question is?
Not quite.
Okay.
I heard about affordable housing, the Honorable Madam Chair, so just correct me if I got it wrong. I agreed with Honorable Member that housing is extremely important. That's why we announced that the stronger foundations, that the 10 years affordable housing strategy to increase an additional 25,000 households in 10 years and expanding up to 40% more affordable housing for Albertan in 10 years. So we realize that that's why this is very important. So I believe, Madam Chair, that question that member asked is affordable housing and why the budget that indicated it doesn't agree that what we are trying to do, trying to accomplish for affordable housing. Is that correct, Madam Chair? Through you to the member.
Well, what I asked was the 118 million that is being invested over 3 years with 20 million this year is wholly insufficient to address the affordable housing crisis in this province. And certainly housing stakeholders say 3 billion is needed to be invested. So this is laughable, the lack of investment from the ministry. And I'd like the minister to address that.
As it pertains to the estimates for this year.
It's page 162 fiscal plan.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. So that as is mentioned, that we have a plan. We expand affordable housing to serve, as I mentioned, 25,000 and more households over the next 10 years, and require flexibility, innovative partnership among all our government partner, community, nonprofit organization, and the private sector. Okay, so we will increase the number of the households that are served throughout the operating funding for also the rent supplements, as well as a capital investment by government and partners. So the budgets is that in the coming years, so we wrap up the communities and need our access and a partnership or development. We believe that working in a partnership, that was to start the stronger foundations about working with the municipality, 3-level of government, and all the stakeholders. Let's build Alberta stronger. Let's build Alberta together. So please keep that in mind, Madam Chair. This is just the early stage for our economy's recovery after the year of recessions and a global pandemic. Our budget will review annually to ensure that it reflects both the needs of Albertans and also the current economic the condition. So that we will continue to work on the stronger foundations and annually and make the adjustment. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Right, and so we'll proceed back to the Honorable Member.
Yeah, so I just, I don't feel I really did get an answer to my question, Madam Chair, because it was about, you know, what housing providers are asking, and they're saying that Alberta needs a plan and we need to get up to at least the average of what other provinces have, and we're below that. And they say the plan should be funded by 30 billion. Sure, there's a plan, there's this new plan, but there's no funding for the plan. And this year, it's only 20 million. So, Madam Chair, I'm asking the minister, how does she make sense of that the community is asking for 3 billion in investment and she's giving 20 million? Is 20 million sufficient?
I'll direct that to the minister and her team.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've been around and across almost the whole Alberta. I haven't heard that anyone asking $3 billion for affordable housing. I would love the honorable member give me the list. Then I can talk to them directly that how that $3 billion affordable housing come up. Because it's our plan here that it's a for 10 years plan. Things doesn't just get it done overnight. This government inherited a big deficit. And also that affordable housing haven't have any good plan in place to build more housing. to fix the problem, a long wait list. So this government are working on it, and then in an efficient way, innovative way, and also including our partners are working together to build more housing. Our goal in 10 years, Madam
Okay,
Chair.
thank you, Madam Chair.
Minister, did you have something to finish off with before we turn it back over to the honorable member?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our plan here in 10 years is to build additional 25,000 households and expand it and 40% more for the housing, and also that we reduce the wait list. And that is the plan, and this plan for 10 years for long term. It's not going to happen just tomorrow. We plan and we will implement it.
Thank you, Minister. Now back over to the honorable member.
Okay, Madam Chair, let's talk about that target of 3,900. You know, the minister is saying in the first 3 years and 25,000 over 10. And the numbers just don't make sense. It's not clear in the plan. She's talking about this performance metric in the business plan on page 26, 2.A. So with the target of 3,900 in 3 years, how do you get to 25,010? At that pace, only 13,000 units and subsidies will be provided by the end of the 10-year strategy. What's the modeling for this scale of investment to reach the 10-year target beyond the 3 years identified in the business plan? And please provide the modeling. Would the minister do that?
Thank you, honorable member, and back over to the minister and her team.
So based on the plan here, our capital plan is about 2020, we invest about $281 million over the next 3 years to provide more than 2,300 new and regenerated affordable housing units while supporting more than 2,000 jobs. And out of that budget is approximately $143 million, approximately $180 million in capital, $20.3 million in operating is allocated to support the initial phase of implementations of stronger foundations. Alberta 10 years strategy is to improve expanding affordable housing. So let us give you some breakdown here. $49.8 million to operating family community housing, which support the important work of the housing management body. $40.7 million investment in the Indigenous Housing Capital Program over the next 3 years, and $85 million in the capital maintenance and renewal funding over the next 3 years. So units under construction or renewal in 2023, well approved and funded 2 to 3 budget ago.
No. So it's so for today it will be shared time. And so when the minister's finished what she wants to say, then she'll turn it back over to you. And if we could do that moving forward.
Question, isn't there an issue with that?
I guess.
She's talking about the
her
money
perspective-
allocated. I'm asking about the modeling, like how she's coming to those numbers. She's not addressing the question.
So that would be the information that she wants to share with you. And so if we could proceed in that way for this session.
Order, I don't know. It's just
Minister,
can't
was there
challenge the
anything
chair.
else that you wanted to add?
Yes, I just need 2 more minutes so that the members can wait. So the building addition is about 25,000, as I mentioned, will bring us in line with the national average. Progress will not be line, and we are here to talk about the first 3 years budget here and how much we can build for Albertans. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Minister, and back over to the honorable member.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Well, the minister didn't answer the question. She didn't explain the modeling. She didn't say how she's coming to that 25,000. She just said a bunch of, numbers that, aren't related. So it would have been nice if she did answer the question. And just to address a comment she made earlier, she, it is such a significant lack of investment by this government. And I can't imagine that she hasn't heard this from housing stakeholders across the province, because I certainly have. And when we were government, we invested $1.2 billion. And you know what? That wasn't enough. We needed more because it had been neglected for so many years. But I'm going to move on to the business plan 2.3, utilize federal funding under the National Housing Strategy to support housing affordability for Albertans. So one of the things that, of course, is very important is to work with other levels of government. And so working with the federal government is key. And so there's federal matching grants, but Alberta's not maximizing that our opportunity to have federal money. When we're comparing Alberta to other provinces, according to estimations, Alberta is leaving $187 million on the table. I've heard the minister say she would ensure that federal funding would be accessed, but this is obviously not happening. Why are these funds not being accessed? Who can say no to 50-cent dollars?
All right, thank you so much, Honourable Member. And now we'll turn the time over to the Minister and her team for a response.
Thank you, Madam Chairs. As this government are committed to make the most effective use of the federal fundings, including identify the future opportunity for cost matching projects and making federal the fundings work for Albertans' needs. So the 2019 National Housing Strategy bilateral agreements lay out the terms of Alberta to receive up to $339 million from the federal government for affordable housing between 2019 to 2028. So Alberta government must of cost matching, and so which we do, and to assess this funding. They allocated about $24.4 million for 2022, and under the terms of the bilateral agreements. So Albertans are also expected to receive the full allocations of $31 million in 2022 to 2023. We never waste the opportunity to that address and getting funding from the federal government. And so far that we fully utilize and $561 million in cost matching from the federal government. And don't forget that a month ago, so I just make announcements and cost matching $444 million that the rent supplements are matched with the government and federal government for the rent subsidy. So that that's what we do, and we will continue to do that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Minister. And now we'll turn it back over to the Honourable Member.
Well, I'm sadly still not clear why the $187 million is not being utilized by this government. This is money left on the table. You know, the provincial government is not working with the federal government, and certainly this is well known in the sector, and so it's just unclear why the minister would not want to utilize these funds. But in addition, there are federal programs like Rapid Housing, National Housing Co-Investment Fund, and the Rental Housing Financing Initiative that are available to housing providers. I just want to know what the government's doing to support agencies to access these funds. I've heard stories of housing providers really having difficulty accessing these funds. The provincial government isn't investing so that then the federal government says, no, the provincial government has to step up before we go in. Sometimes municipal governments, like I know Calgary, has stepped up where the provincial government hasn't. So, you know, it's just kind of mind-boggling why the provincial government is not supporting local housing providers to access these programs and to support them to maximize, and then support Albertans to have a significant increase in affordable housing units across this province. So why is the minister not supporting local housing providers to access these programs?
Thank you so much, Honourable Member. And now we'll direct the conversation back to the Minister and her team.
Well, thank you so much, Madam Chair. It is an important issue, and it has been an issue to me and to my team too. Because it's every time when the federal government have the co-funding and also that Rapid Housing Initiative (RHI), there's something between the federal government and municipality, and quite often that they even don't consult with the provincial government, and the federal government just went ahead and allocated funding to the different associations and then to the municipality. municipality. And I did raise these questions to the Minister of Housing, Canada Mortgage and Housing, that we would like to participate. The reason that the issues here is when they use co-funding and also the Rapid Housing Initiative, they just skip the middle, which is provincial. And we would love to participate. We would love to give a hands to federal government to help them to partnership and choose the right partner to get this funding and build the right house, affordable housing. We are continue working on it with the federal government and raise that issue. Unfortunately, that when they confirm that they give the funding to the municipality, and we already have a budget set, and I'm sure that although all those the previous former minister, they are aware of that, the budget already set. So when suddenly the federal government assigned a budget to a municipality and then come back and asking the provincial government for budget, for money, that would be a little bit difficult. That need to be changed. So that's what I have a request and had a meeting with the ministers of Canada Mortgage and Housing, that how we can work to get together, collaborate a little bit better, and to make sure that next time when they do assign some co-funding of federal rapid housing as the budget, and we will participate and we will consider and have some budget kind of in the next budget cycle. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Minister. And back over to the honourable member.
Yeah, well, certainly, my understanding from talking to the stakeholders in the sector is that the provincial government is not stepping up. And it's nothing to do with the federal government. The federal government is investing significantly. So some of what the minister says flies in the face of what I'm hearing from stakeholders. So I'd look at fiscal plan, page 165, and we're looking at capital maintenance and renewal. So, you know, when I was in the role of minister, we had $1 billion in deferred maintenance in, provincial public housing. And the minister is currently now, this year, 38 million, next year, 23 million, the year after that, 23 million, investing in this area. And so, of course, it's just very similar to the lack of investment in the, overall housing plan. This is significantly, underfunded. And, I'm hearing from housing management bodies that they are operating units or buildings to fail, because they have so little funding to support them. And there's serious consequences to this lack of investment. Units are and will be closed and thus not available for affordable housing. And we already know that we're way behind the other provinces and we don't have enough. The repairs become costlier as they're left unattended to. The life cycle of buildings is shortened. Higher costs due to lack of energy efficiency upgrades. And so this investment is ridiculous. So much more needs to be put in. And so I want the minister to tell us, this fiscal year is 38 million. So what percentage of that is the total ask of the housing management bodies? So, how did they come up with this 38 million? How did they find that this number was sufficient? What is the total request? Because each year, housing management bodies always submit, their asks for capital maintenance and renewal. And let's face it, we have old housing stock. A lot of the housing stock is 30 years old. But if it's well maintained, then those units can stay open. And since this government hasn't been building any new since they've been in office, we got to maintain those or people won't have housing. So that's my specific question is, what's the total ask of housing management bodies in terms of capital maintenance and renewal?
Now we'll go back over to the minister and her team for a response.
Thank you, Madam Chairs. our government is committed to being in good stewards of our affordable housing asset. And we are currently developing a very good framework that will help ensure the government-owned affordable housing building and the property are used efficiently to meet the current and the future needs of Albertans. And we have been working very closely with the housing management body. In fact, that my teams almost, during the pandemic, we have almost a weekly and monthly meeting with all the housing management body what the challenge are, so how we can meet their needs. So that our plan here going to continue getting the feedbacks from housing management body and then the stakeholder. So the plan we have here does allow the more flexibility for housing provider, which is to meet the local needs, and help to make the most taxpayer spending and ensure housing system and fiscally sustainable. And that's very important because we cannot just spend regularly and keep spending and not saving the money and plan for the future to make sure that our program is sustainable. So that for the capital plan, the 2020, as I said, that we allocated about $85 million over 3 years in capital maintenance renewal funding to maintain the government-owned and supporting housing across Alberta. And that all the POS's capital funding commitment will be honored. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Minister, and we'll turn it back over to the honourable member.
Well, the truth really is that Calgary or Edmonton could completely use the funding that is in that budget for this year. You know, just one of those big cities. That's how low that investment is. So I guess I'd like the minister to tell me how many units are unavailable due to the lack of funding. How many units are going offline that she knows about, that she would know about because she's supposed to be in charge of this. Because it's not, they're not being repaired, it's hard to do suite turnovers, they're just being left. And so that means affordable housing isn't available for Albertans. So I'd like to know how many units are unavailable due to the lack of capital maintenance and renewal.
Thank you so much, honourable member, and we'll turn it back over to the minister and her team.
Oops, okay. May I just turn off my mic for a few seconds and just have a discussions here, please?
Okay, okay.
I'm ready, Madam Chair.
Please proceed.
Thank you so much. So we talk about is that the city of Calgary, for example, is expected from capital plan in 2022. And what I can share with you is that for capital plan, the 2022 continued funding for projects total more than $32 million in Calgary to build 127 more affordable housing units. And the capital plan for 2022 for Calgary, again, allocates to housing operators approximately $12 million for capital maintenance and renewal of the social housing over 3 years. Over the next 10 years, Madam Chairs, we will take actions to provide more affordable and accessible housing options for Alberta with a low income. And then once again, for our affordable housing 10-year strategy, stronger foundations, which is the focus on all these issues we currently have it right now for many years. And then this is affordable the stronger foundation to help us to build more partnership and help us to fix all these problems that we short of funding. We're going to continue to partner to create more capital. So we talk about Edmonton's here, which is as the honorable member did mention, the big both cities. So the Adaptations here in capital plan is a 2022 that continues funded for the projects, which is total more than $19 million in Edmonton to build more than 124 affordable housing units and to keep existing units in a good conditions. So that capital 2020 for Edmonton, we allocated housing operators approximately about $9 million for capital maintenance and renewal of a social housing for over 3 years. So once again, for both major city, we're going to continue to work very closely with municipality. And then currently, we are just consulting about the need assessments of each municipality. And these assessments, and I'm asking each municipality stakeholder and then the housing management body what they really need. We don't believe that one size doesn't fit all. We're going to work closely with all the stakeholders and the municipality together to provide a solution for the problem. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister, and back over to the honorable member.
Well, the minister shouldn't have to ask housing management bodies what they need, because she should know, because she gets the annual reports from them, and they do ask them. And I know one large provider said they got 30% of their ask. So, I mean, this information is already there for her, so I don't know why she's not up to speed on it. But I guess I'd like to have her table how many units are sitting empty because of lack of maintenance. That would be helpful for me. But I'll move on. So, the way, and I think that this is a sort of an issue with administration, and I know the UCP cares very much about cutting red tape, and that's very important to them. They've created their own ministry about that. But this is something that I've heard from many housing management bodies, that there's issues with projects over 5,000 when they need to. Sometimes it's just suite turnover. Someone has moved out, they need to do some renovations. So anything over $5,000 must be approved by the ministry. And the ministry also decides on who is the contractor for that particular work. And this process takes months, sometimes years. And it's very frustrating to housing management bodies across the province, because they want to do the work locally. They want to be able to hire people locally. They want to be able to, have relationships with people who are doing the work, instead of someone coming from one of the major centers to do it, and that seems to be the way it is now. And so certainly I've heard very clearly that they'd like this to change. This is something that the minister can do, and I just wondered what she is planning in terms of, either speeding up this process, making giving the housing bodies more responsibility locally, to hire locally. What are some of the things that she's doing about this issue? Because I know that they're talking to her about that, because they've shared that with me.
Thank you, member, and back over to the minister and her team for a response.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, thank you to honorable members of bringing this as the issue and share with me. So I would like to refer these questions to my ADM, William, and provide some technical answers to share with us. The ADM.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, we have heard similar concerns about the process required to receive renewal approval for capital maintenance and renewal programs. We are working currently with all operators, as was the recommendation from the expert panel in the fall, to review the CMR process and determine, capital maintenance and renewal, or CMR process, to review how better to do it more efficiently and to work through that. So there's a number of considerations in terms of how contractors are selected and making sure that we follow all of the trade agreements and proper procurement practices, which takes a little bit of time especially for some of our operators who operate more in the not-for-profit space, which are subject to slightly different rules. So budget 22 contains additional operating dollars for review of the CMR program, which will be undertaken shortly, and we're working our way through to better optimize and speed up the process to ensure that we are, having as units, as they go through the suite renewal process, vacant for the minimal time possible. So we're working with both Calgary and Edmonton and a lot of the other larger providers to ensure that we, do that. And part of the problem with, with contractors, again, it's about finding the availability of labor across the province and ensuring that we have the competent maintenance staff to do the repairs when needed. So we work through the approved procurement processes to make sure that we can get the appropriate work done in as timely manner as possible. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Anything to supplement the answer, Minister?
No, I'm good, thank you.
All
I
right.
think that my ADM provide very detailed
Great,
process.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And back over to the honorable member.
So from my understanding of what was shared was that they're going to review this because things are still status quo. Okay, so page 169, Affordable Housing Partnerships and Strategy Implementation. So most of the funding for this is coming in later years. And I know the minister, is very excited about her new plan for housing, but I'd like to understand sort of what is the money going to be used for here? What agreements will be in place? How will the UCP ensure that funding will go to affordable housing in perpetuity? Because that's one of the huge issues with a previous program that I think is similar to this one, and it's known as the ASLI program, where short-term contracts were made with developers to build seniors housing, and sometimes contracts were only 10 years, and we need housing in perpetuity. So what is the minister doing to make sure that any kind of contract she signs with private developers will be continuing forever, really? Because that's what government grants should be going to. It shouldn't be going to make millionaires out of a bunch of developers, and I think that's really what the ASLI program did. And then it became about the financialization of the seniors housing sector, and we know the story of aged care. They got millions and millions of government grants, and guess what? It's been bought out by Axiom, which is a wealth-generating company. It's about profit. It's not about seniors care. The staff are being squeezed. The seniors are getting less and less service and asking to be paid more and more. Shareholders are making money. I mean, I certainly don't want that to happen to the affordable housing sector, but I feel like this plan is going to allow that. So I wonder what the minister is doing to make sure that that does not happen.
Thank you so much, honorable member. And we'll turn it back over to the minister and her team.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The asset management frameworks will lay out a very clear and transparent criteria for asset sales and transfers. The agreement will have a very clear and the terms and conditions to outline the affordable housing expectations when it's needed, and also the small number, approximately 1/6 of the total 3,000 real estate assets we will consider for sales over 10 years. That's a very small number. So in general, the assets that we want to sell is either unused or underused, and it's not getting the maximum of our value for the community or taxpayer dollars. That's what we want to do. So all processes from the asset sales will be reinvest into the Alberta Affordable Housing system, and through the Indigenous Housing Capital Program, partnership project, maintenance, and redevelops of existing housing stock, rent supplement program, and the programs to maintain and growth of the supplies and access affordable housing for low-income family. So this is very important, that assessments we will settle very clear and very transparent, that people will see at the sales, the asset sales will be, again, we invest back to affordable housing. And that's why we have the 10-year affordable housing strategy plan, stronger foundations. And that's why we have this asset management plan to sell all these unused, underused as an asset, because that will convert, number one, the capital, and then they increase the capital, they convert to cash, we invest, and then build more housing. That's why the additional 25,000 households by 10 years, and expanding 40% of our households, and by the 2035.
Thank you so much, Minister, and back over to the honorable member.
Well, thank you. Well, I'm happy to hear the minister says she'll be transparent about the process. So in that spirit, I guess I would like the minister, I know that there was a assessment of the value of public housing across the province that was completed, I think, by Colliers. I'm just wondering if that report will be made public.
Thank you So much, Honorable Member. Back over to the Minister.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to reconfirm with my team what I can share with the honorable member as per his request. We will share that asset management framework when the report is submitted to us, and we are under review right now. So we will share the frameworks of that asset management and in the future. Thank you.
All right, Minister, back to the member.
Yeah, so that's kind of unfortunate because, of course, the minister is saying she wants to be transparent, but she's now saying she's not going to release that report. And we know that that is foundational for the work going ahead. So in terms of asset transfers with properties, will properties be sold to REITs, real estate investment trusts? We know that Boardwalk has been involved, certainly on the committee of that developed the new report, and recently they just upped their rents by 26% this last year. How will the minister ensure that rents will be affordable in perpetuity? I mean, this is such an important question, and because whenever a private sector gets involved in affordable housing, their desire isn't about making sure those units are affordable. It is about profit. REITs are about profit. And so if we're going to use the private market to do this, which the minister thinks is going to be the panacea, it's going to fix affordable housing, it's going to bring all sorts of investment into that area, but how is that going to support low-income people to have low rents? Like, will there be, affordable housing that this ministry is mostly responsible for is just below market 10% or so. It's called affordable housing. And then there is social housing, which is rent geared to income, which nobody's talking about. And the minister seems to have abandoned this whole part of her portfolio where this is rent that is geared to people's income. And these are often very low income people. And nothing is being done in this sector. And certainly the private sector is not going to care about supporting people with rent geared to income. So I just need some help to understand how this is going to work, because it seems like it makes no sense, unless the government steps up and does some investment, which they're not. So if the minister can help me.
Thank you so much, Honourable Member, and back over to the Minister.
Thank you, Madam Chair. When we consider and presented this is a stronger foundations of our housing 10-year strategy, we go through all the details. Most important for us is how to protect our Albertans, how to make sure that they have that home at a stable, and also that they don't have to worry about that they get kicked out. Nobody will kick out their house, even though we implement this strategy. This is number one thing. We do this strategy is for Albertans. So what we did here is to prevent that to happen. When we have a partnerships with the private sector and the non-profit organizations, and then kind of transferring or those as a property and a projects for them to manage, and that is a contract that's going to sign it with the government. As I mentioned in the very beginning, this government will not going to be continue to be the owner or builder. We are unable to manage that for a long term. That's why the stronger foundations is important to make sure that we have to establish a partnership. We're having all these partners come in, and when they are going to take over some of the project, they will have to sign an agreement and contract to make sure that the rents have a gap, and also that as all the conditions to protect that they will not, after the takeover and it's converted the building or that project and then in the market rent. That will be laid out very detailed in the contract. And also that we will put a caveat on the title, if we're going to transfer the title. So that's how we're going to protect our government and also that protect our Albertans. So once again, nobody get kicked out. We're doing this because we want to expand and provide more housing for Albertans who most in need.
So much, Minister. Back over to the honourable member.
I'll just let the minister know that people are already being evicted, even from housing management bodies, because of the lack of funding that the government is giving. So I'll ask a more specific question that perhaps the minister can answer. So of these 25,000 new units, tell me how many will be just 10% below market and how many will be rent geared to income?
Thank you so much, honourable member. Back over to the minister.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So currently, we just make the announcement about this stronger foundations. All the work is still under, and we just started implement this plan. It just in January. So all the detail we still have to work on it before that we implement the plan. So stay tuned.
Thank you, Minister, and back over to the honourable member.
Well, I can tell the minister, I think it's going to be only 10% below market because there's just no investment. There's not enough investment. The private sector's not going to do it. And so people who need that rent geared to income won't have anything. And guess what? They'll fill up those spaces in just under 10, under 10%, and they'll go deeper into debt. They'll become more precariously housed. People who need the rent geared to income, they may be evicted, precariously housed, they may become homeless. So that's what's going to happen. And her plan is not addressing their needs. And certainly he's talking to people in the sector. They say there's nothing going on in terms of the rent geared to income because that needs government support. And this government is not stepping up. So Albertans are concerned, of course, that their rental home not become an investment. And that's what happens when REITs get involved. They want their home to be a home and not a shareholder's unit for trade. So I have concerns when public dollars from the ministry will help increase the profits of already profitable corporations. And I mean, the minister's being quite vague here. She's saying, oh, we have a plan, but there's nothing in it. The plan, she's just saying we have to work out those details. Well, these are fundamental details. And so if the minister can at least give some bones to this very skeleton plan that she's talking about, I mean, Albertans have every right to be completely horrified by what this government's doing and the neglect in this area of affordable housing.
Back to the minister.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And we have a plan. I will welcome the honorable members to come to my office. I can go through the detail with her. So for examples of a plan that we are working on with the home space, so that in Calgary there's the Surreal, the place. And that's one of the projects that we are so proud to working with the three levels of government, with the provincial, federal government, and the cities and the nonprofit organizations. We all put together some money and then build that building and convert it from the hotel to affordable housing, which is to serve the mixed income. And some of them that for the market rent, below the market rent, some of the deep subsidy. And that's also what is a plan about. We also have the rent subsidy, which is we break it down to temporary rent subsidy and also the deep subsidy. And that's never change. Affordable housing is a plan and still continue to support those that most in need, and we continue to provide the deep subsidy for those people. So the plan is working, and we also have the projects in the left page as well. So that we will continue to do that. Like I say, our affordable housing strategy plan is 10 years. It's not going to push everything at once. This government take a very prudent approach. We are just balance our budget this year. After 8 years, a decade, We take a very prudent approach and a plan before we take a next step. And we will continue to do that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Minister. Back over to the honourable member.
Yeah, well, just through you, Madam Chair, just say, I shouldn't have to go to the minister's office. We are here in estimates to discuss this. And her plan, she needs to explain now, and she needs to respond to the questions here now. So, Madam Chair, the minister spoke about home space in Calgary. And so, yeah, they're a housing provider that does the deep subsidy, and they have a few buildings opening up in the next year, I understand, that are, you know, they have the bricks and mortar. I think they work with the feds on that. And just like in Edmonton, Edmonton has some buildings that are almost ready to be opened up. But guess what? There's no operating, because these are people moving from homelessness into housing, and oftentimes some people do need those wraparound services. So they need those operational dollars to make it happen. Home Space doesn't have them. Edmonton doesn't have them. You know, Mayor Sohi talked about feeling that the government's, you know, slapped Edmonton in the face because they had asked, it's not an extraordinary amount of money, but they were refused that. And so what does that mean? More people are not going to be well housed. More people are not going to move from homelessness to housing, and this is called permanent supportive housing. So there's those three types of housing. There's affordable, which is about 10 below market. There's the rent geared to income, which is, you know, bricks and mortar, but much deeper subsidy, social housing. And then there's permanent supportive housing. And so it is the bricks and mortar, it's often the deep subsidy also, but then it's wraparound services. So these are the three levels of housing that the government is responsible to fund and support. And certainly Home Space, and here in Edmonton, Homeward Trust, I mean, they're not getting the operational dollars. What's the minister doing to advocate for them to get that money? Because they can't house people without it.
Thank you so much, honourable member. And we'll go back over to the minister and her team.
Thank you, Madam Chairs. The City of Edmonton will direct to allocate about $56.8 million in funding under the Fragile Rapid Housing Initiative. So this is the Fragile Rapid Housing Initiative program have a two streams, which is a $500 million under the major city stream with direct allocated to major city in Canada, and about the $500 million in the applications-based project stream. For those project streams, that's no funding will come directly to or through seniors and housing. So applications to access this funding are led by communities. So Edmonton is expected to request funding through the CMHC Co-Investments Fund under the National Housing Strategy. The majority of the submissions are expected to require a provincial contribution to make the projects viable. Between 20 and 21 and 22, Edmonton's announced the new projects under Rapid Housing Initiative major cities funding stream about 385 affordable housing units and a total of $56.8 million. So the Edmonton is likely to take opportunity to highlight the municipal and the federal government are ready to willing to contribute, but the need to provincial to contribute, of course, is affordable housing project. And we're looking for the opportunity next time to when they are looking for the partnership. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Minister, and back over to the honourable member.
Well, the opportunity is now, Madam Chair. You know, these buildings are ready to go, and people want to move into them, but they need those operational dollars. So now is the time, and you know, UCP government has a balanced budget. They have room to wiggle here. They have room to move, and they can make choices that would support so many Albertans to live in dignity. And it's really devastating that the government continues to choose not to support them. Well, I'd like to talk about the Indigenous housing program fiscal plan. Page 169. So our government allocated $120 million to this, and this government, they did increase it slightly this year, but it's only $40 million approximately over 3 years. We know that, again, this is a really insignificant amount to address the needs for Indigenous housing. We know that they have specific needs. Oftentimes they need larger units because there may be extended family members in them. And, you know, I guess I just want the minister to explain why this program is also severely underfunded.
Thank you so much, Honourable Member. We'll turn it back over to the Minister.
Thank you, Madam Chairs. This is a great program. I'm going to take 3 hours to talk about this program because we are so proud of it, even though we have allocated about $40 million for this program. And since I got appointed as a Minister of Seniors and Housing 3 years ago, and we starting building. And we already have about 10 projects almost. That this is in 3 years Indigenous and of our friends and family and have a place to call home. And the budget's different because we changed the program. And as soon as we inherited the previous government, there was a program that is not workable. And for the budgets they allocated, they haven't even built one house in the 4 years. But when we inherited, we took over, we already have a 10 project. We already spent close to $30 million commitment in Indigenous housing and build a house for our friends in an Indigenous. And the total 10 projects, it create about 189 units so far for our friends and family in the Indigenous community. And we will continue to do that. And so you see that this year we increase another $10 million and just to contribute and to make sure that we build homes for our Indigenous community. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Minister. Back over to you, Honourable Member.
Okay, I'd like to move over to seniors. And we know that we have about 700,000 seniors in our province. And we know that we're experiencing very high inflation right now. Cost of groceries, insurance, housing, it's all going up significantly. And the Alberta Seniors Benefit, which this government cut back in, like they de-indexed it in 2019 and have continued to do that year after year. And what's really interesting is the minister, I can remember her correcting me in previous estimates because I said, it's a cut, and she said, no, it's a pause. And so here we are in 2022, 23, and it's still a pause, or is it a cut? Can she explain that?
Thank you so much, Honourable Member. We'll turn that back over to the Minister.
Well, thank you, Madam Chairs. We did pause the indexing for seniors benefit while we're trying to get our fiscal house in order, and we did. We have balanced budget. We need to ensure that we are taking the necessary step to support the efficiency and sustainability of our program. As our honourable member said, we had 700,000 seniors. We have 4,000 adults turning the senior 65 every single month. We have to take a prudent approach and well-planned to make sure this program and service and enough to sustain the program for the seniors most in need. So we have to maintain senior benefit for those most in need and ensure that our vulnerable seniors can count on a stable source of income, and that's important. So as I mentioned that the December 31st, that we have 700,000 seniors. However, we are so proud to say that we will continue to support seniors, and our government provides more than $8.6 billion in services support to Alberta seniors each year, and this includes financial support and health benefits, and as well as housing and health support for seniors with low income. Alberta It's the one of the province that offer the highest benefits to seniors with low income in Canada. It because of the Alberta financial support for seniors, the major reason. That's why we are we have the lowest senior poverty rate in Canada. For instance, for the payment, currently the Alberta senior benefit for single seniors, we pay about $285 per month, but in the average for the similar province, they only pay $60. So that, and beside that, I would like to share that with the honorable member too. Then currently, there's no Canadian province that's a monthly seniors supplement to inflation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Minister, back over to the honorable member.
Well, certainly Alberta did, but the UCP government changed it. We did have a seniors benefit that was indexed. So I guess I'm going to correct the minister this time, and I'm going to say it's not a pause, it's a cut. So budget 2019, the UCP de-indexed the Alberta Seniors Benefit, Special Needs Assistance, Supplementary Accommodations Benefit, the Seniors Lodge Assistance Program. That was a $55 million cut back in 2019, and so it's accumulated over the years. And of course, now we have high oil prices. We even have a surplus the UCP is talking about. And so the minister says, well, we needed to get our fiscal house in order. Well, it's beyond in order. And even through a pandemic, which has been very difficult for seniors, it's been, I think the demographic of the population of seniors has probably been the hardest hit by it. But still, the minister is not an advocate. She's not advocating for seniors, and they've done what they wanted to do, but it's vulnerable seniors who've had to pay the cost, and it's deeply disturbing to me, and I really do not understand it. And so I just will ask the minister again. I'm sure, as the Minister of Seniors, she talks to seniors every day. I certainly talk to seniors all the time, and I'm hearing all the very difficult stories of that they're experiencing. And so I just need to have some understanding how she still thinks this is legitimate when the budget is at surplus.
All right, and there's only 1 second left, so that is the time. So that concludes the first portion of questions for the official opposition. And just to advise you, the coffee break, we will do that after Honourable Member Lowen has his time with the minister. There will be fresh coffee for us all. So please proceed. We'll now hear the independent member. Please proceed with your questions.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you, Minister, and thank you to your staff, too, for being here today. Appreciate the good work that you do. And my questions will be relatively short, so I don't think we'll use up all our time, but I just have a few questions I'd like to ask. Regarding on page 97, and that's in the business plan, and there's a line item. I'll just give you a little time to look for it and everything, so we don't need to rush. And there's the line item Alberta Seniors Benefit. In 2020, 2021, that line item was around 400 million, and then in the 2023 estimate, it's up at 476. So what accounts for that dramatic change between those two time periods?
Thank you so much, Honourable Member. And now we'll turn it over to the Minister and her team.
Thank you for the questions, Madam Chair, through you to the Honourable Member. And that is changes, that's for sure. And number one, the reason why is the populations go up. Okay, and as I mentioned that we have about 4,000 adults turning to 65 every single month, and that's why we have to reserve some money. And also that many of the seniors access the 2020 Canada emergency response benefit too. So if you remember, so that's make up the loss of the employment's income due to pandemic, and also that anticipates the increase of ASB, the caseload in 2021 and 22, and it was not realized, and that's why this is a large number there. And the ASB forecast between 21 to 22 was lowered by $24.5 million, about 7% to reflect this result. But however, adjustment in 2021 to 22, there's no impact on the ASBs and budget in 2023. So when the CERB programs has ended. So that in fact that this program is everyone eligible to get it. So.
Thank you so much, Minister, and back over to the honourable member.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the question, Minister. Appreciate that. Also on page 97, under revenue, the line item investment income. And when we look at that line item there, there was a dramatic change between 2021 actual and 21-22 budget. And then the forecast for 21-22 dropped down significantly again. And then the estimate is still kind of in that same line item. So I'm just not sure why the difference between the 21-22 budget versus the forecast and the estimates for 22-23.
Thank you so much, honourable member, and we'll turn it back over to the minister and her team for a response.
So this is. Sorry for the wait, Madam Chairs. So let's refer to the investment income, honourable member. I think you're referring to, and that changes. It's just because the interest, the income earned from the cash balance in the bank, which is from the Alberta Social Housing Corporation's bank account. That is the reason.
That concludes your remarks, Minister.
Yes, thank you, Madam.
Thank you so much. Honourable member, back to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks, Minister. Appreciate those answers. My final comments, maybe more comments than questions, but I'll maybe have you respond on just part of it anyways. Obviously, we had a discussion earlier today on the seniors facilities that are being planned for my constituency, and really appreciate that. The communities appreciate that. We're looking forward to that, those projects coming to fruition, and we're looking forward to that. Now, I guess the only comment I have, or actually question, I guess, in regards to that is the inflation. I don't know if there's anything accounted for inflation in your budget. So I'm just wondering if you have accounted for that. Obviously, inflation is something that's kind of reared its ugly head here just in the last few months. We're noticing it quite dramatically, especially in construction costs. So I just wanted to know if you have something allotted for there in there for inflation moving forward. Thanks.
Thank you so much, honourable member, and we'll turn it over to the minister and her team.
Thank you, honourable members of inflation. So this is concerning, of course, that when you go to buy grocery, then that $100 doesn't buy you too much stuff. So we talk about inflation, how it can impact the capital projects. We just recently approved a few projects in the constituency, and we're so excited, looking forward to that announcement. So how are we going to manage that extra cost because of the inflations? We will continue monitor the increase the cost for the material due to the inflations, and of course, this is how this affect the budget and budget planning, because as we all know that the budget plan are way ahead. And every capital projects budget, and we always hold in a contingencies of funding for unexpected costs that they may arise. So we have the money to put on the side to deal with this kind of extra costs. And luckily that today, that all projects has been managed within the approved program budget, and we anticipate that they will continue. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Minister. Back over to you, Honourable Member.
Thank you very much. That concludes my questions, and I appreciate your work and the staff too, and enjoy the rest of your estimates today. Thanks.
And Minister, this is still your time. There is 12 minutes and 46 seconds left if you would like to share any information.
There's still a 10-minute maximum.
But a 10-minute maximum speaking allotment for you.
I thought it was 10 hours, Madam Chair. Well, thank you so much, and I'm just so excited every time I come to the estimate, because as I can share with Albertans, share with all my colleagues, all the MLAs in the House, that how much we do care about affordable housing and seniors. So that for affordable housing, we commit to provide safe and stable housings for family, seniors, survivor of family violence, and those with a health and disability issue. We will continue to do that. And of course, that you can hear that I'm so excited for the next 10 years. We are taking actions to provide more affordable housing and accessibility housing options for Albertans with low incomes. Once again, I would like to mention that Alberta's Stronger Foundations Affordable Housing Strategy map out very thoughtful changes needed to provide safe, stable, affordable housing for an additional 25,000 households by focusing on partnership innovation. And that's very important. And I heard lots of stakeholders just come to me and say that, thank you, Minister, this is a long overdue. And this is a major structure change in 25 years in affordable housing. The strategy we're looking for to reduce the wait list by 30% by helping Albertans to find housing that meet the needs and simplifying the process so we can access affordable housing so faster. I couldn't agree more. That's very important. And as I mentioned, the Affordable Housing Foundation, Stronger Foundation, will enable the governments to serve more Albertans and get more value for the taxpayer dollars by a few things. We are going to shift the government's role from being a builder, an owner of affordable housing unit, to being a funder and regulator, attracting a new investment, attracting new money, and a new partner to enable more innovative funding and delivery models, and create more efficiency, and generate more affordable housing. Focus on the strategic long-term partnership to help us to meet Alberta's diverse needs now in the future. Budget 2022 reflects the first years of the implementations as we conduct need assessments, as I mentioned that, in the community, develop innovative models and expanding our partnership. That's most of the mayors talk to me about. That is a wonderful thing that we do, because we listen. Because we listen, we hear what they're looking for, and we're working solutions together. We build something, we plan something for individual need, not the cookie cutter, not the one size fit all. However, we must also keep in mind that this is a very early stage of an economic recovery after years of recessions and a global pandemic. Our budget will be reviewed annually to ensure it reflects both the needs of Albertans and the current economy's conditions.
Madam Chair. Point of clarification. Just a question to you, Madam Chair, and to our help here. I'm assuming that the independent member had a specific line of questioning. So if the minister is going to add any additional information, it would be in line with the questioning of the independent member, and not that she simply just be given another additional 10 minutes, as she was already given at the beginning of the meeting, to address questions of the members around the table. I mean, this is the estimates process where members of the legislature are asking questions of the minister, and that's our primary focus here today.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. And so the member and I did speak. He is trying to be in other estimate sessions that are happening this evening at the same time. And so he's going to be checking Hansard. The minister is elaborating. And if you're not hearing that, I am.
Well, that's my challenge, Madam Chair, is that what is she's offering right now is not in the line of questioning of what we just heard from the independent member. So I would request that we simply move on to the members, the private members of the government caucus, so that we can get back to lines of questioning to the minister.
And so, Minister, I will turn it back to you. The independent member, and I did speak, he advised that he needs to hop over to the other room, but we'll be checking Hansard. So if you could continue to answer any the questions that he addressed with more robust answers, then you can most certainly proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would love that answer to the question. In fact, I would love to share with you the achievement and how many projects that we have done in the past, and answer some of the questions that independent members are asking. That oh well, you know, what do you do in the community? So I'm going to refer to our ADM for housing. The ADM. William, would you like to share that with the members that our achievement and about our projects?
Thank you, Minister. So one of the Madam Chair, one of the projects that was referred to was one of the projects up in Spear River. And so that project was to demolish the existing Pleasant View Lodge and replace it with a new facility that would accommodate 52 DSL and 40 lodge spaces at the total cost of $24 million. I'm able to report to the committee that despite the recent market volatility and commodity prices, with a budget pressure on the lodge, we are still able to proceed, and we are moving forward and closely managing those budget pressures. We did have budget target room to reallocate to this project from budget surpluses on other recently completed projects, and we were able to execute the construction contract. As design is fully developed and implemented, we'll continue to move forward. This is a pretty innovative project, and we're working with our existing lodges to develop new and continuing care spaces that will provide seniors with greater support and help senior couples remain together when their care needs change. The project is an excellent example to highlight of a partnership between the provincial and local governments, working with our housing providers and with Alberta Health Services to move forward on the capital project. There are a number of other lodge programs in a similar vein, including a project in Manning. This project is to redevelop the existing Dallaire Lodge to accommodate 16 DSL units and 37 additional lodge spaces at a total cost of $8.2 million. Again, the budget pressure here that the member referred to in his question around in managing inflationary pressures is being managed because of offsetting savings from additional projects on the capital plan, where we were able to achieve savings through innovative procurement methodologies and fixed price contracts. Currently, within the Lodge Partnership Program, there are 2 remaining projects, both which are well on the way, including the project in Oyen and the project in Drumheller.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, that concludes your remarks then, Minister?
Yes, thank you.
Very much appreciated. And with that, honorable members, I hear there's fresh coffee. Let's take our 5-minute break. And we do have someone from the official opposition who has just joined us. Please go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Joe Cece, Calgary, Buffalo, MLA. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Honorable Member Cece. Now we will move over to the Government Caucus for 20 minutes of questions from the members. Would you like to combine your time with the Minister?
Yes, please.
Okay. And Minister?
Yes, please.
Fine with combine? Very good. Proceed.
Well, Minister, thank you so much to you and your staff for joining us tonight. And thank you for all your hard work that you do on a very important portfolio. I do want to start with some questions that are focused really on the needs and the situation that we face in rural Alberta and what rural Albertans can expect from your government in terms of focus on their needs through Budget 2022-23. I want to start by asking for some information on supportive housing for rural Albertans. And on page 187 of your estimates under Section 4, Housing, can you please take a moment and talk about the work your department is doing to address rural supportive housing in Alberta?
Thank you so much, Honorable Member. And with that, we'll turn it over to the Minister.
Well, thank you so much, Emma Reid. Thank you. This is important questions because it's often that when I talk to some of the stakeholders, they always say that, oh, well, your government used to be just only focused on a big city. That's not true of this government. We have been balanced the budget and also trying to build equally and fairly throughout Alberta. So first of all, I would like to share with you that the 2022 continued funding of $193 million for 23 projects in a community around the province, and of course including some of the smaller towns, except the Edmonton, other than Edmonton, Calgary, and Red Deer, that will provide 1,161 housing units for Albertans in need. So in addition that the investments in a capital maintenance and renewal of the social housing in a community outside the Edmonton, Calgary, and Red Deer, a total of about $4.4 million in 2021 to 22. Capital projects are just one way of providing affordable housing to Albertans in need, and rent assistance that may also be available in the community for eligible Albertans. So it's not necessarily always build affordable housing. We also make sure that we support those families would like to stay that the communities they choose, and we support and provide the rent subsidy for those families. So federal funding enables the redesign of the rent supplemental program, and including introduce of the new temporary rent assistance benefit to help more Albertans in needs. And as I mentioned that just recently, about a month ago, we make announcements the matching funding with the federal government for rent supplements of $444 million additions for next few years. And again, Alberta's stronger foundation affordable housing strategy is a 10-year strategy, which is transforming the affordable housing system. And of course, we continue to work on it. And the rural areas is also always it's on our map. So budget 2022 and 23 reflect the first year of implementation. That's what we're doing. And we will conduct, and as I mentioned it a few times, that a need assessment in the community, particularly in the rural area. Because we heard enough to the people and getting feedback that, you know what, don't do one size fit all. Each community and rural area, they have a different needs. And that's also what we're doing. For need assessments, is provided to the municipality, the stakeholder, and getting feedback, and working with each individual community and rural area to find a solution, to find a plan that we work both for provincial and municipality. So budget is coming year, so we will ramp up as the communities' needs are assessed and the partnerships are developed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister, and back over to the Honourable Member.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Minister, and appreciate your answers. And I know that pretty much every one of my communities in my riding of Livingston McLeod are working very hard on some needs assessment for their housing needs, and look forward to having you sit down with them and discussing what those possibilities could look like for our rural residents in Alberta. We've heard a number of times tonight about the concerns around inflation and the rising cost of absolutely everything. One thing that's a reality for us in rural Alberta is that we really do feel it in significant ways, because we just live a long ways from a lot of things. So when gas goes up, it certainly has an impact for us. The cost of transport of goods into our communities is significant. So in light of this, I'd like to ask if you can tell me what the government is doing to help support affordable housing in terms of these rising costs, especially or specifically for our rural Albertans.
Thank you so much, Honourable Member, and back over to the Minister.
Well, thank you. And as I mentioned before, that the federal funding and will help us to redesign the rent supplement program, which is very important. So including introduces a new temporary rent assistance benefit to help more the Albertan. So building takes time. But these are rent supplements, and definitely can help some Albertans who need a subsidy, rent subsidy, then they stay in a market rent a project or a building and stay in their own community, and we just give them subsidies. And also that in budget 2022, that we will leave the first years, as I mentioned, that we will continue to implement that, the need assessment, and as you mentioned that, and right now, we're just starting the consultations with all the rural area, and we are looking forward to get some feedback from your constituency as well. So we are working together and put a plan together and see what is the best way to provide some affordable housing or some of the other needs that you required in your constituency. I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow. But what I'm saying is that we're going to get all the information from the different constituency and community. We will prioritize and start working on it. So capital plan, we continue funding $193 million for 23 projects in community, as I mentioned, around the province. So that we provide, again, 1,161 house units for Albertans in need. Thank you.
Back over to the Honourable Member.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Minister. Appreciate that very much, and look forward to helping you connect with constituents to help you make well-informed decisions about those priorities to benefit our rural residents. Still want to follow up with one more follow-up, I guess, related again to rural residents, Alberta, and this time specifically with seniors. And we know that it really is an issue for seniors as they age, facing the challenges of remaining in their communities, close to their friends, close to their family. We know full well that the longer they're able to stay in surroundings that are familiar, the better their life is, their health. It has just great benefits, and our communities benefit from their presence as well. So specifically related to looking at the needs of seniors in rural Alberta. Can you tell us how Budget 2022 will help to support keeping aging seniors housed in their own communities?
Thank you so much, Honourable Member, and back over to the Minister.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's such an important question, Honourable Member, and this government is always encouraging, and we will ask and help the seniors who wish to stay home in the chosen community, and that's very important. In fact, there's over 90% of the seniors, they choose to stay home. So that we will continue to explore a different kind of innovative options to enable the people, and including senior, to stay in the chosen community, which is close to friends and friends and family. So that we have a few programs that we offer the seniors that who choose stay their home in their own community. And one of them they call that a Seniors Home Adaptations and Repair Program, which is support the independent living for the urban and rural seniors in Alberta by helping them to use the equity in their home and to make a necessary repair or adaptations. And other programs that we offer for low interest home equity loan, which is to a maximum of about $40,000 per household, to the seniors with households that income of about $75,000 or less, and the homeowners must have about 25% home equity. So this is another ways that the people can borrow some of the money that they build in the equity. So the program is supported with a wide range of the home adaptations and the repair, and including this is the most requested expenses are the following, like the house roof repair and replacement, and the window update, the furnace replacements or repair, and flooring replacements, and also bathrooms repairs and adaptations. So this is the most common program that the seniors ask for and request for help. And all the programs also include some grants components to help eligible seniors with a low income, particularly who do not qualify for loan. So some of them qualify, some don't. So somehow they probably don't have enough enough equities or mobile homeowners on the rent land. So what we can do is we have some grants to offer and provide some financial support for those critical home repair. So nobody are left behind. So another programs I'm very excited to share is a senior property tax deferral program. So this promoted independence of the senior by allowing seniors, homeowners to defer the property tax the payments until they sell their home. And which is a fee of additional funds for each month. Then that's another way we can help the senior that charge them later, and then they can enjoy some of the benefit from the government. So the most important is that when the seniors are approved for a loan, the province will pay the property tax directly for this program to municipality on behalf of the senior. So that the seniors will pay the loan with the interest when they sell their home and as sooner if they choose. So that is something that we can help temporary until they sell a home. So also that our cross ministry of health is also responsible for long-term supportive housing, and where the support and care also provided in congregated or independent living units. So and the senior in accommodations provide senior housing. That's another program. May change over time, and we require to move accommodations with a higher level of care. So that is also something that some of the program we offer, and also that in a partnership with the health, and we offer this program to look after senior who wants to be independent and stay in their own home.
Thank you so much, Minister, and back over to the honourable member.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you again, Minister. It's been alluded to a couple times tonight, and has kind of floated around the room. Lots of expenses related with your ministry for the needs of our vulnerable Albertans and our senior population, ways to help those folks out. But we know we can't spend without generating revenue, and I have to imagine that with your capital plan and the opportunity to invest in new development and maintenance and upgrades on things, there must be some anticipation from your ministry in terms of how the capital plan that you're putting forward will help create some good paying jobs for Albertans. And of course, I'm going to think of opportunities for rural Albertans as well as we do that, provide those kind of opportunities for folks that live outside of our major centres. So, Minister, if I could ask you if you could maybe comment again on how you see your ministry creating those opportunities for good paying jobs for Albertans, and probably also maybe tie that in about what do you think the other anticipated impacts of your capital plan could be for our province?
Thank
Thank you so much, Member, and over to you, Honourable Minister.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. That's exactly what our government does. Alberta Recovery Plan is working. We offer lots of jobs, lots of investments coming. So every capitals and then the capital maintenance and renewal projects that provide economics stimulate, including the creations of a temporary jobs during the planning and also the design, constructions phases of the facility. And very often that the permanent jobs once the facility is operational. So as soon as the project is starting, from the beginning to the end is not the end. We will continue to provide a job opportunity. So Capital 2022 is supporting more than 2,000 jobs across the provincials and through the approved capital projects and over the next 3 years. And that just is offered by seniors and housing. So that, for example, the three recent projects create an average of the 271 jobs, like the Fort Saskatchewan, 121 jobs, Londonderry project, 640 jobs, and also Indigenous Housing Capital Plan, another 54 jobs. We will continue to do that and create the different kind of project and create opportunity. So that you say that how it's going to impact the capital plan and economy. And that, of course, expanding affordable housing is a part of the Alberta's recovery plan, as I mentioned, to build a stronger prosperity by creating jobs and provide a safe, stable place for Albertans to get back on their feet and pursue the new opportunity. And the affordable housing strategy could, like I mentioned, that up to 2,000 full-time jobs, and each year with important contributions for our partner organizations. That's what it's about, the stronger foundations of affordable housing 10-year strategy about. We want to create jobs. And we wanted to have a partner working with us to create more jobs for Albertans. So every dollar we invest by Alberta's government will result in $2 of a new investment from a partner and including the federal government with a cost matching dollar. So we will focus investments in the innovative projects such as a Londonderry housing developments, as I mentioned, and which is a higher talent to help with the construction. At the same time, they also the tenants of the project as well. So it's just such an exciting and innovative idea, the project that we will participate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister. And Member, did you have anything else?
I do, thank you, Chair. Minister, we've been talking a lot about tangibles. We've been talking about structures and housing. I want to refer to page 187 of estimates and talk about funding for programs for our seniors. And in the budget, it states that you're maintaining grant funding for seniors community organizations across the province. A couple questions. Can you explain the goals for this funding? Also, can you explain what we can anticipate to address something that's of great concern to me is of course issues around elder abuse in the province? And what do you say to Albertans who are concerned that seniors are not getting the services and supports that they need to stay healthy and safe, regardless of where they live, and especially during this time of the pandemic? And who is their voice to government? Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Back to you, Minister.
Here. No, this one here. That's a lot of questions, Member. Well, thank you so much. I'm very excited every time I talk about seniors, and I'm so excited to share that what my teams have done and continue to support our seniors. So my ministries is a focus on the projects that work very closely with the social sectors and the health, the care system to better make sure they integrate the health and the social the service for seniors. So the goal and with this project is deliver a non-medical support to have the senior remain the home in the community. We understand that not necessarily all the seniors that require the cares that stay in the hospital or long-term care. So we understand that we will focus on how we're going to deliver the non-medical support to the seniors. And some of this works enabled through the Health Aging Alberta initiative, which is we're working close with them, and a really significant initiative that my minister should support, and we are continuing to support that. So Health Aging Alberta, it's a community-led effort to bring together senior service organizations from across the province to serve resource, training, and experts. We hear that it's very important when the seniors stay at home. They might need some extra care, home cares. So we want to make sure that we provide a necessary training and resource to the home cares of the individual to take care of our senior. So this is the initiatives enable organizations from the community of practice for the priority areas such as caregiver support, elder abuse, as you mentioned, and fall preventions, and age-friendly communities. So the organizations that we involved in Health Aging Alberta initiative and are informed by their direct work with the senior.
Thank you so much, Minister. That's our time, but I would like to pause and introduce a member from the government side who has joined us. Please go ahead.
I'm MLA Grant Hunter from Tabor Warner. Good to be here tonight.
Thank you so much. And so with that, we will move back over to the official opposition. And you will have, how many minutes is it now? 10 total. 10 minutes in total. And are you going to share your time?
Yes.
Okay. Please proceed, Honorable Member.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. So I'd like to talk about 2.2 and the estimates, special needs assistance grants. So in the estimates, it shows that they've been underspent this year. And of course, special needs assistance grants are for people on very low income, for seniors on very low income. And this program was significantly cut in 2020 by $8.3 million, and of course that's continued along. These financial supports are for seniors who've applied for the Alberta Seniors Benefit. So once again, it's the varied, low-income seniors. And there's been millions and millions of dollars cut in services for seniors. The personal response service was cut from $31 down to $20 a monthly, and no longer is the installation of $82 covered, so that's about $214 a year. No laundry costs are covered, that's $41 a month, so $492 a year. And so please remember who's paying for this. This is people who are on low income. These are seniors in our communities, and this is what the UCP government has decided to do, to not support them. A decrease in funding for lift chairs from 817 to 500, foot orthotics decreased from 409 to 300, funeral costs, a one-time reimbursement was $1,226. This has been eliminated. Health supports have been eliminated. So these are several supports for low-income seniors that have been cut clearly by this UC government, and certainly none of this has been adjusted to inflation to support people through a very difficult time. The minister has, repeatedly said that she and her ministry are supporting seniors, but this defunding shows absolutely the opposite. When is she going to index to inflation, the special needs assistance program, and fund the items she has defunded? Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Honorable Member. Back to the Minister.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. So first of all, I would like to mention that the Honorable mentioned that reductions it was a past fiscal years in 2020 to 2021. So to answer one of the questions she has is about 2.2, the special needs care grant. And we do that up a little bit of 3.8%, and it's just for your information that the budget 22 to 22, this is an increase to adjust the caseload growth. As we mentioned that every month we have 4,000 seniors, people that turn into this 65 years old. So we are just paying for it. So let's talk about now. Talk about this year's budget, 2022 to 23. Our budgets are 18.8% for special need, and an increase of $600,000 over the 21 and 22 budget of 18.2. So that's an increase. So Alberta is the only province have this program like this. And with the same type of support, all accessible in one place without need to apply in the different places and a different program. And then, of course, we want to continue. We want to continue to support our seniors. And every month, what I say, because it's the 40,000 Albertans are turning 65, we want to make sure that we sustain this program and continue. So we will focus on support the seniors with the low income. That's very important. So they can live in their home and choose some community as always our focus. So in 21 and 22, just to mention that since the honorable member, the question about it, we experienced a low demand for the program primarily due to the COVID-19. And as the seniors are hesitant to skills in-person service and allow service provider into your home. So we anticipate we might take up for the senior, the special needs system program. Will be similar if the impact of the pandemics continue, and we hope not. Hope this is over. So with the potential increase of more people's vaccine, of course, this is going to be the slowly that die down. Hopefully, the pandemic. So any saving or unspent dollars from this special needs assistance program are used to help offset the COVID-19 pressure in the senior lodge with additional expenses related to the pandemic. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Minister. Honorable Member?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, certainly we know, and the Minister has said it herself, and we saw this in the Alberta Seniors Benefit too, that the reason that the budget is going up is not because more is being allocated, it's just because the population is growing. So individual seniors are not receiving more, and it is just about population growth. And certainly the list that I articulated previous to the Minister's response shows how much seniors are really being, well, more than nickel and dimed for sure, but hundreds of dollars are no longer available to them, and these are vulnerable seniors. And yes, you're right, it is not this year, it was last year and the year before, but guess what, it's accumulating, and this is what the UCP government has done, and it is not supportive of seniors, it is actually taking more away from them. So having said that, I'll move on to Seniors Community Grants 2.4 in the estimates. So again, similar situation. There was $2 million allocated to community groups when the NDP was government. The UCP quickly cut community grants upon coming into office to less than $1 million, $900,000 actually. These grants support community agencies to provide preventable services, Madam Chair, in their communities. They're vital to support community agencies to address things like elder abuse, social isolation, transportation, mental health issues. Certainly are a few challenges that seniors face. The funding was cut in half, and I'm hearing from community agencies that they have had to cut programming. Some have closed completely due to their lack of funding. SAGE here in Edmonton had a health clinic that was exemplary and provided really important services to seniors with complex needs. That program is now no longer. The work that are done in these programs actually saves money for the government because people are supported in their communities and they don't use those more expensive health services because of that. So can the minister help Albertans understand why she would continue to keep funding so low when we know that this is such an important area and it does support seniors all across our province?
Thank you so much, Honourable Member, and we'll turn it back over to the Minister.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to be clear the questions from the honorable member. If she's referring that the 2.4 senior community grants, that's what I'm hearing. And she did mention it, and based on my chart here, and she said that that has changed with on the budget. But when I look at on my chart here, that 21-22 budget, 900,000, that estimate that is a 900,000, that's a no change. I'm not too sure that what the honorable members are referring to, but referring that grant that we talk about the senior community, the grant program, and we know this is important, and these are community grants that help organizations to provide support to senior and to help them remain independent, of course, as they participate in their community. This funding is also used to support innovative projects and research that are necessary to inform the policies of the development. And we will continue to support the community-based response and to the need of a diverse senior population, and including the issues such as social isolation, which is an important during the pandemic, and health aging in the community, and we supported the senior state in the at home in the chosen community, and prevented elder abuse, which is getting. We want to look into the way to prevent that and then deal with the elder abuse and assistance needed due to the COVID-19, and also the non-medical, as I mentioned before, and the non-medical support seniors need to remain living in their own home and a community. So all these services we are continue to support, and we are continue to the working with the stakeholder nonprofit organizations and support our senior. And if you're looking for the elder abuse, which is really come from my heart, that the case management, that at the local, the regional level, the response to the two older elders who experience one or more forms of abuse. And I did give allocate about $750,000 in the budget, and for the organizations that who look after senior, so looking to do some research and regarding the elder abuse.
Thank you so much, Minister. That concludes our time, and it will move back over to the government side, and I believe that Honorable Mrs. Fry will take the question.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Minister, for being here tonight. I also want to thank your staff, both political staff and also department staff, for being here today. I know the past couple years have been very difficult, and you've all probably taken a lot of phone calls from my constituents, my constituency office, and I know you've done an excellent job of responding to them and getting my constituents the help that they need, so thank you very much. Minister, I know I also wanted to say thank you on the record for all of your visits to Brooks Medicine Hat, whether that's the Meowson Center or Newbrook Lodge or the Cypress View Foundation. I know that the residents definitely enjoyed seeing you, and it was nice to have the minister in the community, involved in the community, and showing up in southeastern Alberta. We really appreciate that. We've been neglected by previous governments, and I certainly have to appreciate that. So on page 93 of your business plan, you identify the ministry will continue to provide timely supports to seniors most in need both during the pandemic and during the recovery, which hopefully we are going to stay in the recovery portion of the pandemic. What has your ministry done to support seniors throughout this pandemic? Once again, I'm referring to page 93.
Thank you so much, Honourable Member, and we'll turn it over to the Minister for response.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I had such a great time at my fight that when I was at your the medicine hat, and they're so lovely. Those are the seniors, and I'm looking forward for my next visit. Regarding that the COVID-19 pandemic, it is not easy for anyone. It's a challenging time for last 3 years for everyone, particularly for seniors. So we are looking at doing more for the senior to prevent that the health and the well-being, that it keep them safe, and we will continue to make sure we decide to support the living and And the senior lodge have necessary resource to help to keep the residents of this is a facility safe and healthy during the pandemic. And by the way, I would like to say that we thank all the frontline the health individual, the doctor or the nurses who has been taking care of all the senior in the long-term care and in hospital. And thank you so much for doing that. So we will continue to provide the eligible costs and supporting all the senior lodge, and make sure that all the senior lodge and the resident and staff and they're safe, and while the public health orders remain in place. So my ministry and my team is in a constantly contact with health and Alberta Health Service, senior serving organizations, and housing operators that provide a real-time update and guidance on how to best implement a public health orders, and to provide support in responding to the challenge and listen to the immediate needs, and that we understand that's very, very important. So this is a community-based senior service, the one serving organization, which is I met in Medicine Hat. They deliver the service and the support, which is very critical to help the older Albertans remain at home and engage in the community. And we will continue to provide support to this organization to help us look after the senior. So my ministry is constantly, as I mentioned, that keep contact with the community-based senior service organization and provide a real update. And even myself, I almost covered throughout Alberta with 5 road trips and visit all the rural area community and listen to them and visit all the seniors. They're so lovely. So this is very important to hear from them and for all the stakeholder and the staff that work in the senior organization. And how are we going to support them? What kind of support they're looking for? And of course, it's a listen to immediate needs. That's why you see that our policy continues to change to make sure that we are efficient and provide the solutions to all those issues that they might have. So the last but not least, that we will continue to help them, and the last summer, I just want to let you know that we hosted the 4-part webinar service. I'm not too sure you hear about that. It was hosted by one of the senior executive CASA, and the 4-part webinar on seniors to help to support mental health, which is very important during the pandemic for senior, and the wellness of the senior, the caregiver, and the service provider. These webinars are focused on we connect, and also that we enter as Albertans the world transitions to post-pandemic life. So we want to make sure that the seniors have been looked after. It's not just physically, also that mentally as well. Thank you.
So much, Minister. Back over to the honourable member.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I have quite a few questions that I wanted to get through, but I think something that's really important for my constituency, just because of where I'm located. In Brooks Medicine Hat, we are home to CFB Suffield, which is the Canadian Forces based Suffield, which also hosts BATIS, which is the British Army Training Unit Suffield. So on page 96 of your business plan, I do notice that you have an objective dedicated to improving the experience of military members, their families, veterans, and reservists in Alberta. And I know in my riding, there's quite a few military families that live there, both from the Canadian Armed Forces and from overseas. So it's very important to my riding that we hear this answer, Minister. So can you please provide some details on how the ministry will achieve the objective? And also, if you have time, just because I noticed that my block is running out here, Minister, I was wondering if you could touch on your work to combat elder abuse as indicated on page 95 of your business plan, key objective 1.2. I know that for many of us, we've heard horrible stories in our offices about what can happen to elders and seniors when people take advantage of them. And I know that as a compassionate conservative minister that you very much care about this. So I'm curious as to what your ministry is doing to combat elder abuse. And I'm sorry if I didn't give you enough time to answer all those questions. My goodness.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just speak faster, okay? Don't stop me. So on page 96, thank you, Madam Chairs. So we talk about the business plan, how to delegate input, experience a military member, and this is very important. And then this group here, thank you for the service to our country. So that we are so lucky, we have the point, the PME have the point, and MLA Brad Rutherford, MLA Ledoux and Bowman, is a government that Alberta, the liaisons to the CAF, which is and has worked tirelessly to build and maintain the relationship between the organizations serving militaries and our veterans as a community. And then to support the projects, they have the military members and their family and the regents. So some of the projects that the MLA, the Red Force, has recently support that will make a difference in the life of the military members and their family and then the in Alberta. So let me just give you a few the achievement projects that he has done and then it did very well. So one of them is the Edmonton Regents Village, which is developed led by Home for Hero Foundations that opened in December 20 and 21. And Alberta the government so provide $1.1 million in a funding toward the development. That's what we call the tiny home the project, but they're not tiny. But it reaches means so much for the militaries, particularly retired, and then have a place they call home. So also the two hero in mind, there's another project, the advocacy and research, and then this project which is provide expanding the treatment that for essential service for the providers. So Alberta government provide more than $360 million in funding for those projects. So last fall, the MLA Rutherford also connected the varieties of a stakeholder, including a CAF base, to hear about the experience during the COVID-19 pandemic and understanding emergency issue. And also that I believe the MLA Rutherford had to create scholarships in partnership with the Minister of the Advanced Education and provide opportunity and reward and recognize those the regents or the family that recognize that the contributions. So that MLA Rutherford continues to work with the stakeholder, identify the ways to further support military members and their family and regents and in Alberta. So on page 95, and then you did ask about the focusing on prevention elder abuse.
Thank you so much, Minister. That concludes our time, and we'll turn actually over to the official opposition. Please proceed, Honourable Member.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for the opportunity to address the Minister briefly. I just want to ask about page 186 and 187, the number 4.2, mostly on the capital side, if I could. I'm just not sure, maybe this has been asked already, I apologize, why the forecast is 92 million, call it, and the estimate for this year is 46 million. Would that be for capital maintenance and renewal projects in provincially owned housing?
Thank you so much, Honourable Member, and we'll turn it over to the Minister and her team for response.
All right. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Well, apologies, Madam Chair. I just want to make sure I clarify to understand his questions correctly. If I made, Madam Chair, so I want to clarify that. Did the honourable member have a questions regarding that 4.2 under capital payment to related parties? Under the housing, that assistant to Alberta Social Housing Corporation?
Yes,
Is it
I'm
correct?
wondering.
Okay, well, thank you so much. And on 2021, the forecast is $91 million, and then the estimate 2022 is dropped to 45. It dropped the code. It indicated drop about 49% in that column. So, thank you. Yes. The reason why is because it's lower investments and compared to previous forecast, and due to of course, the new direction, the stronger foundations, and also that we kind of shifted directions as well from become the owner and builder and to a funder. So that's why it's we research for this number. And $45.9 million is actually is a capital investments for ASHC property as well.
So would that line also include capital maintenance and renewal of provincially owned properties?
That. I just looking to the more detailed information. If you don't mind, just give me a couple minutes here, please. So it's not including this.
Please proceed.
Thank you for letting me know that, let me taking the extra times here, and no, it's not included. And I'm looking back to the capital investment. This is foreign capital investments.
All right.
Thank you.
And I take your note that you have a different strategy. You're going to be a funder as opposed to something else, I guess. I've forgotten what that is. I just want to ask about capital maintenance and renewal for a second. I was looking at the City of Calgary's properties, and they're only getting 67% or so of what they've asked for to keep provincial properties units operating at a good level. And if they don't get the full amount, they have to, those units, some of them will fail. The buildings will fail, the outside will fail, the internal workings will fail, and they have to decant those buildings. Do you address those on an emergency basis when that happens?
Thank you, Honourable Member. Minister?
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chairs. And the answer is a yes. Okay. And the capital plan allocated housing operating is about $12 million in the capital so maintenance and renewal funding for social housing in Calgary is over 3 years. And we'll continue to do that. My team is working very closely with the Calgary housing, and that is any measures that are urgent required. That we always have a discussions, and always trying to accommodate. That's an urgent request.
Yeah. Unfortunately, probably too many buildings are being operated to failure. Can I ask you about taxes? I asked this in the municipal affairs meeting that grants in place of taxes are only half of what the province owes. Do you pay taxes to the different municipalities around the province for provincially owned buildings?
Thank you so much, Honourable Member.
No, we don't.
Mm-hmm. And how much?
Sorry, please, if you could direct the conversation through the chair.
And how much would that have been had you responsibly paid your taxes?
How much? Madam Chair, I will refer that these questions are more technical questions and that are not related to operational, then I would just refer to the ADM housing, so ADM Williams, please.
Thank you. So we don't track the specific number in terms of the tax bill because a number of the properties by regulation are exempt from assessment. So if they're exempt from assessment, there would be no assessment levied. So we don't track that figure.
Grants in place of taxes that you're under at all?
No.
Okay, okay, thanks. I guess it's back to 4.2 on the capital side. Is that money's there to leverage federal dollars and municipal dollars to address new capital building? Does it leverage monies from the federal government and municipal governments to build new buildings?
Madam Chair, thank you. So you talk about capital payments to related party, 4.2? Oh, okay, yes,
It does?
it does.
And is it adequate in terms of accessing all federal dollars that are available for Alberta on affordable housing, on housing?
I'm sorry that I couldn't hear clearly.
Sorry,
Would you mind to repeat it again?
Is that amount adequate to access all the available federal dollars for Alberta?
Yes, Madam Chair. As I mentioned before, that we will use every single dollar and cost matching federal dollars in our project. And so far we did that. Thank you.
Minister. Honorable member?
Thank you very much. Just one more question, probably. I wonder why this number at 4.2 on the operating side bounces all over the place from 112 million to budgeted in 21-22 to 88, and then actual forecast is 119, and then we're seeing an estimate of 102. Why is it bouncing like that and not progressing in reasonable growth? You have 20
Madam Chair,
seconds.
sorry, can I clarify that? So, my apologies, somehow that it wasn't clear. Can I ask you, are you referring to under operating expenses, 4.2 assistance to Alberta social housing for the 21 to 22 forecast? Oh.
Thank you so much. That
just wondered.
concludes our time for the opposition. We'll now move back over to the government side, and I assume that you're going to have shared time again, if that's all right with you, Minister, shared time. So please proceed, Honourable Member Amory.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and good evening to the Minister and her capable department officials for being here tonight. I want to thank you for spending this evening with us and answering our questions in relation to Budget 22 and the questions around seniors and housing. Madam Chair, as you know, in the summer of 2020, I chaired the Affordable Housing Review Panel, a committee that was made up of experts who embarked on a province-wide review of this.
Honourable Member, I'm just having a little bit of trouble hearing you.
All right. The Affordable Housing Review Panel, which embarked on the review of affordable housing in this province, and we were able to speak to hundreds of stakeholders, individuals, and organizations to find out how to improve affordability in this province. As a result, a number of key recommendations were made, but I think some of the ones that I want to particularly highlight are in respect to business plan outcome 2 initiatives supporting key objectives in relation to your discussion on affordable housing, on the affordable housing management plan. I think that was one of the first recommendations that the committee made in that report, and a number of others which will form the basis of my questions here this evening. Now, the minister might agree with me, Madam Chair, in that the basis for any housing transformation, at least one that is effective and designed to meet the needs and demands of the next decade and beyond, requires a solid housing asset management plan. The problem was, Minister, that when we were working with officials, it became clear that one of the problems was that there was no comprehensive housing asset management plan in order to help consolidate the information within your ministry into a single resource that we could easily access. Now, key objective 2.2 on page 96 of your business plan indicates that the minister plans on implementing this affordable housing management plan. Can you describe to us here this evening what the purpose, or what the goal is, I should say, in optimizing the affordable housing portfolio through this housing asset management plan, and how long it will take and how you intend to do it?
Thank you so much, Honourable Member. Minister?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Budget 2020 project is about $90 million in SSL's proceeds that over the next 3 years. So Alberta's government is committed to the being a good stewards of our affordable housing assets. So we are developing the framework that will help to ensure the government own affordable housing building and a property, which is asset management, are used effectively and to meet the current and future needs of Albertans. So basically, it's for asset managers, the property we are willing to sell is that those are properties that are unused, underused, and no longer we require. So it's probably about 1/6 out of the 3,000 real estate properties we consider to sell over the 10 years. And again, those is the proceeds from the sales we will reinvest back to the affordable housing again. That's how to help us to reach that goal for additional 25,000 households in 10 years. And of course, that also to save the taxpayer dollar as well when you have the properties unused, underused, sitting there for a long time. In the past, we spent $1 million just to maintain the operating costs for those property. That's why we decided to sell it for the people that we have a better use, and as well that we save the taxpayer dollars. So the asset management framework that you did, that I mentioned a couple of times, we will lay out very clear, okay, and transparency criteria for asset management sales and transfer as well. So we just want to make sure that the people understand that this agreement will have a clear the terms and the conditions to outline the affordable housing expect when it's needed. And it's a very important. We want to making the most of affordable housing assets is a part of our 10 years plan, and then to improve and expanding Albertans' affordable housing system, and also align it with the Affordable Housing Review Panel recommendation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Minister. Back to the Honourable Member.
Certainly, and thank you to the Minister for that answer. I want to talk a little bit about the stronger foundations, which you've mentioned a couple of times throughout your presentation, Minister. I want to know if you can help tie in this housing asset management plan and how it specifically relates to the work that you are doing on the Stronger Foundations Affordable Housing Strategy. So in short, what does this housing asset management plan mean with respect to the Stronger Foundations model that you have described here today and many times prior to that? And how is the plan going to work within the Stronger Foundations strategy to develop these goals that you have within that framework?
Thank you so much, Honourable Member. Minister?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I mentioned that this plan will allow more flexibility for housing provided to meet the local needs and help make the most of the taxpayer spending, and so to make sure that the housing system is financially sustainable. And this is a very important as we're growing populations very rapidly, and we have to have a plan. We have to make sure that the program is sustainable. So the asset management framework, as I mentioned, that is a very clear, transparent, and and the criteria for asset management and transfer. So that we are. We'll be working very closely with our housing partner and to deliver the 3 years of rolling plan, and I look forward to the release the plan framework in the coming month. And that's why it's important. This is stronger foundations. We including and invite all the strong partners and then from the nonprofit organizations and the private sectors to involve this affordable housing project and that in their own community. And that's what we want. One size doesn't fit all. And we need the feedback with the local community and to help us that need these assessments. So more importantly, that we want to make sure that making the most of affordable housing so that asset is a part of our 10 years plan, as I mentioned that so many times, to improve and expand the Albertans' affordable housing system. And this is based on the review, as you know that, and from the 19 recommendations of an affordable housing review. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Minister. Back over to the honourable member.
Thank you, Minister, for that answer, and thank you, Madam Chair. I want to move on to something else that we've identified in your business plan, key objective 2.3. The review that we spoke about earlier, the Affordable Housing Panel review, identified challenges in finding federal programs and leveraging some of our non-tangible and tangible but not necessarily monetary assets to help satisfy some of the requirements for federal funding of affordable housing strategies. We also identified a need to work with Indigenous communities to help bolster affordable housing projects and federal funding for these initiatives. Mr. Recommendation 8 specifically said that the ministry and the department should engage and facilitate collaboration among housing management bodies, not-for-profit organizations, private industry, and Indigenous organizations and or governments to build capacity and develop appropriate housing solutions. A couple of years ago, this government signed a bilateral agreement with the federal government under the National Housing Strategy. Can you describe, based on your business plan key objective 2.3, how this agreement will support housing strategy affordability for Albertans, and in particular for the communities that I asked you about earlier?
Thank you so much, honourable member. Minister.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Albertans' government continues to work with the federal governments to provide quality housings, affordable housings that meet the needs of the Albertans. And then we are maximizing the federal funding and to support the Alberta community. And those are needed in affordable housing. And as you can see that the last years have been big announcements on the part of the federal minister for all those large affordable housing project, and which is that's a partnership with the federal government and the municipality as well. So we're to partner with the federal government to provide cost matching, as always, and the funding to support affordable housing through the National Housing Strategy and bilateral agreement, which is we signed for next 9 years. And then today's Alberta has received the maximum federal funding and through the agreement. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister. That concludes our time with the government side. We'll go back over to the official opposition.
Okay, Madam Chair. The minister said repeatedly how important seniors' concerns are to her. And so I'm just wondering how many times she has met with the health advocate who is responsible to respond to a senior's concerns. And can she give us a brief overview of those updates of those meetings, when they were, and only the 2019-2020 report is available. The health advocate is supposed to submit annual report every year, and there's nothing for 2020-21. Through the chair.
Thank you so much. Honourable member, Minister.
Thank you, Madam Chairs, and the senior advocate was consolidated with the health advocate's office about back to 2019. So I would suggest that the honorable member refer these questions and to Alberta Health Ministry and get the answer. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Proceed, honorable member.
I'm just going to push on this a bit, Madam Chair, because the minister has said very clearly many times in question period, many times publicly, that the health advocate was going to be taking care of seniors' concerns and seniors were going to be well served. Yet she's showing us at this very moment that she has no understanding of what's going on, and she can't identify a time she met with her, can't talk about the report. I mean, obviously, her words were hollow.
Been called?
Madam Chair, I just wonder what this has to do with the budget estimates that we're going through right now. I mean, this is probably a question that could be asked of the minister at any time, maybe even during question period, as the member has lots of opportunities to ask that. But I'm just wondering what line item she's referring to in terms of this one here, to be able to address this. Now, if she is addressing a health issue, obviously we have estimates that are happening tomorrow. We've got 6 hours of health questions that will be asked. I think that would be probably more appropriate where that would be done.
Honorable member, can you tie it to estimates and all, your question?
It's 2, senior services.
Page 2?
No, number 2 on the estimates,
Okay.
on page 187.
Okay. Minister?
As
Chair? I just looked at what she's talking about, what the honorable member is talking about. Number 2 on operating expenses says seniors services. There's nothing in that line item. So I'm just wondering once again, what is she referring to specifically?
The whole section then, just refer to the whole section.
But a minister's indicated she'd like to answer, so we'll just go to the minister. Thank you, honorable member.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As I mentioned, that I do care about senior. That's what I'm a senior minister, and the service that we provide to the seniors, I can lay that out. The number of support for seniors in Alberta, including the Alberta Seniors Benefits, provide a monthly financial supplement to eligible seniors with low income to assist with living expenses. And a special needs is set up for seniors to provide financial support to eligible seniors with a low income for basic needs, including some of the appliances, specific personal and support. And the supplementary accommodations benefit provide the monthly benefits to support the eligible seniors with low income living in a long-term care and a designated support living with accommodated costs. Senior homes and adaptations and repair program, which allow eligible seniors to finance home repair and adaptation through a low income and equity loan with the government. And the grant components is also available to seniors with low income who do not qualify for a loan. And a senior community grant, which we mentioned before, we provide the community organizations with funding to develop, to deliver, and test an innovative program that address the ministry's priorities, including elder abuse prevention and age-friendly community and social housing inclusions and old ageism. And of course, a senior property tax deferral program, which is we are supporting all those seniors that want to stay home and stay in the job, the community they chose, and allow eligible seniors, the homeowner, to defer all part of the property tax through the low-income home equity loan with the government. So that this is all the service that we provide to the senior. Thank you.
Honorable member?
Okay, I'll move on to the rent supplement. Obviously, the minister didn't answer the question at all there. So the rent supplement budget was cut by 24% in 2019, and it was later shut down. And of course, this created a lot of people precariously housed, and some went into homelessness. This all occurred when Alberta's had the highest unemployment rates in our country, coincided with the COVID-19 pandemic. Many Albertans do not have support they needed, which created significant difficulties for families, including many challenges with mental health. An agreement with the federal government was signed in July 2021, so just this past summer, Alberta was one of the last provinces to sign on. So, Minister, how come you left Albertans for so long to languish during this time with no rent supplement program? And certainly the intent of this agreement with the federal government was to be an additional support for the rent supplement, not replace an already existing program. So other provinces gave additional, but Alberta just cut their program and had it closed for some time. Why did the minister also reduce funding from $75 from about $1,200 for the deepest rent supplements to $75? You know, why are people who qualify for those only getting $750 now? And why did the minister, why did the minister reduce the available to vulnerable Albertans? This program should be like a huge win for us. Instead, we were left to languish during a very difficult time in our province, and I just don't understand why the minister left people without this important program for such a long time. Through the chair.
Thank you so much, Honourable Member. And we'll turn the time over to the Minister to provide some answers.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And the rent subsidy, the rent supplements program. This year we allocate about $68 million budget for this program and provide subsidies to the eligible households. They are renting from the private sectors and private landlord. And I want to emphasize one thing, that we have a change, it takes time to change the program, and very thoughtful. So that this is a rent assistance program that we designed it last year to provide more flexible and to the tenants, and give working Albertans access to the temporary help as well. And while maintaining the long-term support for those who are most in need. We created two different programs. And then the first one is, I will say that we designed the temporary rent assistance benefit, which is provide a subsidy for up to 2 years to help the eligible tenants and afford the rent while they subsidizes improving the finance. And then the second one is the rent assistance, the benefits, which is a long-term benefits. We are helping those of the people that require subsidy and provide directly to the tenant as well, that help maintain stable support for the most vulnerable. And I would like to emphasize that for this rent assistance program, because of the rent the program we designed, we make efficient use of federal funding to support Albertans community, and then those who need for affordable housing. Households that receive those two programs, RAB and TRAB, have increased by almost 1,500 to from 2020, increased by household 1,500. So that's why this is very important. You take your time and decide the program that meet the needs for Alberta most in needs.
Thank you so much, Minister. Back over to the Honourable Member.
Yeah. So currently, AISH recipients receive an exemption of $735 when in social housing. When they turn 65, this exemption disappears, and their needs are still the same. They're exactly the same person. They're just a year older. They must pay significantly more in rent. Why is this so? When is this going to be fixed? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honourable Member. Minister?
I'm sorry if I may just clarify the questions. Are you talking about, Madam Chair, the AISH program? Sorry, I missed a part of it.
Transition from AISH to seniors.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for clarifications. So the AISH receiver when it turns 60. Oh.
Thank you so much, Minister. We will go back to the government side, and I believe it's Mr. Smith. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Minister, thank you for all the work that you and your ministry do. And through the chair, I've just got two questions that I'd like you to consider. First, I see that under element 3.2, the provision for the Alberta Seniors Benefit Program is increasing to $359.4 million. How does this program contribute to seniors remaining independent and living in their communities? And that would be found on page 187 of the estimates. Okay. And a follow-up would be, can you provide some details about how the Special Needs Assistance Program supports Alberta seniors? Thank you.
So much, Honourable Member. Minister?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, the honorable members, Emily Smith. And yes, $359.4 million increases for the Alberta Senior Benefit Program because we want to maintain the financial stability for seniors with low income. And this is very important because they make sure they integrate into their ability and to participate in the community. And also the community to support senior independence. And I always mentioned that we supported those seniors who prefer to stay home in their chosen community. So that our senior benefit programs are one of the reasons that Alberta has the lowest senior poverty ratios in Canada. So for your follow-up questions is about that how you can provide some detail about the special needs assistance program. And that the special need assistance for seniors program, it provides financial assistance to eligible seniors with the low income for the basic needs, including some appliances, specifically the personal and health support. So Alberta, just want to remind you that Alberta is the only province that has the programs like this, and with the same type of support and all accessible in one place only, and without the need to apply to several different programs. And we combine all together and make it easier for seniors to apply this program. And we are focusing on the supporting seniors with low income so they can live in their home in a chosen community. And we know that we use using the special needs assistance for seniors, and the supports that can keep the seniors in their home and out of the higher level of care, and also which is in the greatest cost for us. Thank you, member.
Thank you so much, Minister. Member?
Thank you, Minister. One more question, and then I'm going to cede my time over to MLA Hunter. I see the Minister continues to maintain the budget for the Seniors Home Adaptation and Home Repair Program. And how does this program benefit seniors in rural communities like mine in Drayton Valley and in urban communities? And then the follow-up would be the Seniors Property Tax Deferral Loan Program has also been maintained. How does this program support seniors to stay in their communities? And both of those would be found on page 187 in the estimates.
Thank you so much, Member. Minister?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, this is a good program. It's a very popular too. You know, this program has supported independence of living for the senior, as I mentioned that in the rural area and the urban seniors in Alberta. By helping them to use the equity in their home and to make necessary repair and adaptations. And these programs are offered at a very low interest. The home equities loan to maximums about $40,000 per household to senior, with the households incomes about $75,000 or less. So homeowners must have a 25% home equity to qualify this program. So I mentioned before the programs support a wide range of home adaptations and repairs, including the roof repairs, replacement, window update, furnace repair, floor replacements, and a bathroom repair and adaptation. Those are the most common that required for the older home. So this program also included grant components to help eligible seniors with low income. So who do not qualify for a loan, and we understand that, and they probably don't have enough equities in their home, so that we will we require financial supports for the critical home repair, and we will provide that support as well.
Thank you so much, Minister. And
thank you, Madam Chair.
Now over to the honourable member. Please proceed, Mr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to the Minister, I just wanted to point out some things that I thought was good news. On page 187, 1.1, the Minister's office budgeted in 2021-22 644, and actual was 603,000. The Deputy Minister's office was 712,000, actual 603,000. Minister, I wanted to congratulate your team on being able to show leadership within your ministry, even at the levels that we just saw there on those line items. I wanted to also thank you for the efforts that your ministry has made in terms of being able to bring us to balance, which I understand, and I know you understand, is necessary to be able to provide sustainable services to our seniors and to the vulnerable in this province. So thank you very much. I do have a couple of questions, and I hope I can get through these. The first is, you've previously said that you will continue to support the Indigenous housing budget, housing capital program. I see that commitment in the capital plan on page 162, including 40.7 million is allocated to this initiative over the next 3 years. Minister, I'm just wondering, is this program fully funded, or the transfers coming from the federal government to be able to offset the cost of this, or is this just a provincial program?
Thank you so much. Honourable Member, Minister.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, MA Hunters. This is a very important questions, because it's that we want to make sure that everyone in Alberta, in Canada, Indigenous, particularly Indigenous community and friends and family, that have a place to call home. So for Indigenous, is that the capital program, that the government will support it, the design and delivers and owned by, and also for Indigenous people. So they own it, they become a homeowner. So since 2019, Alberta government has committed about $31.2 million under an Indigenous housing capital program. We are so proud to share with you that we have completed about 10 projects and a total of about 189 units. So this is Capital 2022 increased funding by the Indigenous Housing Capital Plan, about $20.7 million to $40.7 million over 3 years, and to help to improve access to affordable housing for Indigenous people in need. And we are so grateful to get the support from the federal government for the bilateral agreements, and we can share some of the funding and the cost matching and on some of this project and provide this housing for Indigenous community.
So much, Minister. Member.
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair, to the Minister. I'm just on page 162. It goes through the capital 2022 capital plan. And I'm just wondering, I know that back in the 2019 capital plan, you outlined a commitment to provide 2,700 units for the family community housing. How's the progress being made on that?
Thank you, Member. Minister.
Well, thank you so much. We're going a great process. in 2019, since 2019, the more than 1,700 new units and 350 shelter spaces have been completed in 3 years. And we continue to invest about 200 and budget 2022. We continue to invest about $281 million over the next 3 years to provide more than 2,300 new and regenerated affordable housing units, which is support more than 2,000 jobs. So that in the budget coming year, and we are wrap up as a community needs, and I mentioned a couple times, and one size doesn't fit all, and we are starting the consultations with the different rural and urban community, and they're looking for their feedbacks regarding that how we're going to build housings and what kind of housing, what kind of design, what do they really need in the community. And
Thank you so much, Minister. I hate to interrupt, but that is our time, and I must advise the committee that the first portion of time allotted for consideration of the ministry's estimates has concluded. I'd like to remind committee members that we are scheduled to meet tomorrow, March 15th at 9 a.m. to consider the estimates of the Ministry of Health. Thank you, everyone. The meeting is adjourned.